the Nonprofit Podcast, powered by Donorbox.
Dear friend, on behalf of our board of directors, thank you for the generous gift of... Does that sound like your boilerplate thank you letter? If it is, you might be making a costly mistake. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm Kara, fundraising coach at Donorbox. We're here each week with practical actions you can use today to increase donations and take your nonprofit to the next level tomorrow. One of the biggest mistakes made when writing donor acknowledgements is being generic or impersonal. Today, Jenna Lynch, nonprofit advocate here at Donorbox, is here with us, and we have 3 pitfalls for you that might be plaguing your acknowledgements. But we also have some easy tactics to make good donor acknowledgements part of your everyday process. And stick with us till the end because we want to work with you to make your donor thank you letters shine. Welcome, Jenna.
Hey, Kara. Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to diving deeper into this. Let's start by talking about why acknowledgements are so darn important. They're not just a box to tick off your to-do list. Acknowledgements are your chance to show some serious appreciation and build a really rock-solid relationship with your donors. And it's all about nurturing those valuable relationships with your donors, right? They are the lifeblood of your organization, and acknowledging their support is super, super crucial for building that trust and building that strong sense of community.
It's one of our all-important A's in our 5 A's of awesome fundraising. Acknowledge. And a lot of times our fundraiser minds gravitate to thinking of acknowledgements as a mail-merged letter you send after a gift is received, but that's not necessarily the case. Acknowledgements can come in many forms: notes, letters, emails, videos, or even phone calls, or a social media shout out, or an in-person thank you. There are so many ways to get creative and think outside of the box, or maybe think outside of that letterhead tri-folded into a number 10 envelope. There are so many ways to say thanks that really don't add more work to your workload.
Yeah, you bet. And thinking outside the box can make all the difference. Now I want to talk about the mistakes that can really cost you when it comes to donor acknowledgements. But don't worry, for our listeners, we are not here to scare you, but rather just shed some light on these common missteps so that you can steer clear of them and build even stronger relationships with your awesome donors.
Yep, let's jump in. Our first costly mistake caused by generic acknowledgements is the lack of personalization. We've talked about this before on this podcast, but donors want to feel seen. We all do, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And donors are no different. Donors want to feel a genuine connection with you as a leader within your organization, and they'd also like appreciation for their contributions. Using a generic template or sending out mass acknowledgements can make donors feel like just another number.
Yeah, a generic acknowledgement means that you've really missed an opportunity for engagement. Donor acknowledgements provide an opportunity to engage with donors beyond that initial donation, right? So sending out a one-size-fits-all thank you note is like waving goodbye to a golden opportunity for meaningful engagement and that meaningful connection. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely some easy ways to personalize your acknowledgements. Mention their volunteering efforts or that very first gift that they made. That's a good way to do it. Trust me, those little touches go a long way. It's like saying, hey, I see you. And if they generously contributed to a specific fund or project, don't forget to give that a shout out as well. So let them know their support made a direct impact where it really matters most.
Those are really some special extras you can include. But don't forget, there's so much value in using their name or a nickname that they prefer. You can use it in a few spots in the note or in the video. And if you've seen that individual in person recently, you can mention that too. You know, it was really great to see you at that event last week. Thanks for giving.
Yeah. And if this donor isn't someone you know well or see regularly, you can utilize some space in the note to extend an invitation maybe. So invite them to your next exciting event or offer them a chance to take a special tour. It's all about keeping that connection alive and nurturing further involvement so that you can get to know them.
That acknowledgement note or email or video is really prime real estate. You are doing the work to send an acknowledgement, so use the real estate available to you and make it the very best. I love that.
Yep, you bet. Okay, now on to the next mistake as a result of generic acknowledgement. And that is that those generic notes might just be undermining the donor's impact. So that generic wording, well, it's like throwing shade on the amazing impact that their support makes possible. I mean, imagine if you made a generous donation and received a generic thank you note that barely acknowledged the difference that you were making. You might start to question if they even noticed your contribution or if it really matters to them. And that's kind of a buzzkill, right?
It is, for sure. I think when you see this in an acknowledgement, it stems from being more focused on the transaction of the gift than focusing on the person who gave it and the reason that they gave, right?
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to take the time to showcase that specific impact of their gift. Let them know that their support is changing lives, empowering communities, or driving real change. And then when donors see that tangible difference that they're making, it really reinforces the value of their support and it motivates them to continue giving. I think it's really a win-win.
Donors really do need to see that tangible difference. That could be what keeps them giving and keeps them engaged for the long haul. All right, so let's wrap up with our last, but certainly not least, big thing to remember when it comes to impersonal and generic acknowledgements. When your acknowledgements miss the mark, it can really reflect poorly on you and your organization. It may give the impression that your nonprofit is not invested in cultivating relationships with those individuals or businesses who cared enough to support you. It may also convey to your donors that you're unprofessional or lack the ability to pay attention to detail, and this could potentially lead to a decline in your future support or even maybe worse, damage your organization's reputation.
Yeah, absolutely, Kara. And you do not want that to happen, especially when it's such an easy fix. It's so important for nonprofits to show that they genuinely care about their donors. Okay, let's talk about how we can turn this ship around and make donor acknowledgements shine like a beacon of gratitude.
Beacon of gratitude. I love that. You know we love our practical actions on the Nonprofit Podcast, don't we?
We do.
So let's dive into some easy strategies that will transform this seemingly daunting task into something much more manageable and effective. And here they are. Number 1, dedicate a day or 2 each week to tackle sending out acknowledgements. I used to spend Tuesday and Thursday afternoons about 60 minutes before I wrapped up my workday as a dedicated time to pull giving reports, to write handwritten notes, or make some thank you calls. And then note that I've done that on the donor's record in my data. It's a really great way to end the day on a positive note and feel like you've accomplished something big when you go home.
Yeah, that's a really great one. I know I tend to get to tasks that are scheduled on my calendar in blocks of time. And just add in those time blocks to tackle acknowledgements just a couple days a week. That's all you need to do. So I think that's a really good idea.
Good. Thank you. And so while you're on your laptop pulling those reports, here's my number 2 tip. Use a mail merge extension for Gmail or Outlook to mail merge your entire list to make it look like you sent one-off acknowledgements right from your inbox to theirs. Be sure to send yourself a few test emails because it could backfire if there are some mistakes. And if this intimidates you, there are some good YouTube videos that can really explain it better. It's much better than a CC or a BCC on an email that looks like you just sent a big group email to everyone, but it's about the same amount of work. And then we have tip number 3. Also, while you're at your desk, keep a list of stories or anecdotes right in front of you on your computer or on a note on your desk. Write them down as they happen or as you think of them. Doing this makes it easy when you need to tell a quick story of how a donor's gift made an impact. I tend to forget things when they're not written down, and so this is really helpful to me.
Kara, I'm on that same boat as well. Sometimes it can be challenging to think of those personalized touches on the spot. So I think that's really fantastic, especially when you've got a busy work day and all these things are floating around in your brain. That's really helpful. Okay, so here are a few more of my own tip. Number 4, try ringless voicemail. You can record a nice message once for a first-time donor or a regular donor and use some software to deliver it right to their voicemail box. It could be like oh, hey, I'm sorry I missed you. I just wanted to say that I saw you gave, and take this opportunity to say thanks and then share a quick story of impact.
Yeah.
So this is really easy and you can automate this process.
I first heard of ringless voicemail at a conference last year, and I think that the tech was created for announcements or reminders, but it was really cool to hear how some nonprofits were using it for donor stewardship, and this is a great example.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing it more and more too, which is pretty awesome. And we all have our phones on us all the time, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And speaking of that, that takes us to my number 5. Smartphone videos can go a long way. The more informal, the better. So don't spend too much time scripting a message. Just speak from the heart. Be genuine. Even better if you record it while your mission is in action right behind you.
Mhm.
And okay, my last tip for the day, number 6, showcase a beneficiary. So do you have someone you've helped who can say thanks in a personal way? You can use drawings from a kid in your program or a paw print from an animal you've helped. You really think outside the box, as we said, and you can get creative and have some fun here as well.
I love that. I could see it framed on my desk, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And there you have it, 6 simple strategies to take your donor acknowledgements to the next level. I encourage you to choose just one of these and put it into action today. We're rooting for you as you infuse even more personalization, creativity, and heartfelt gratitude into your messages. Remember, every acknowledgement is an opportunity to deepen your relationship with your donors and make them feel truly valued.
Words to live by. Before we wrap up, I want to invite all of you to join us for our upcoming webinar, Donor Acknowledgements, How to Make Them Memorable and Meaningful. And that's taking place on Wednesday, July 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And in this interactive workshop, Kara will dive deeper into the art of writing impactful acknowledgement letters. You'll explore real life examples, engage in a writing exercise, and we will provide you with a free guide to jumpstart your thank you notes, which is pretty cool. So make sure to register for the webinar. We've included the link in today's show notes.
Thanks, Jenna. I'm looking forward to this acknowledgements workshop. I've been working on it for a while, and I know there's some really fun stuff in there that I think everyone will enjoy.
Yeah, I got a sneak peek, and I got to say it's looking really good. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, and thanks for your time today and for your awesome insight and for those tips.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
As we wrap up this week's episode, we want to sincerely thank you for spending a little bit of time today with the Nonprofit Podcast. I hope you've left with the confidence to take a small step today that will make a big difference tomorrow. Be sure to click the download button on your podcast player, then leave the Nonprofit Podcast a review, or give it a thumbs up if you're listening to the Nonprofit Podcast on YouTube. Your review really is a great way to help others find us. You're here to help others. We're here to help you. So until next time, stay inspired.
That warm feeling when you help someone, it's not just happiness, it's fulfillment. And we believe it should be available to everyone, from frontline heroes to first-time fundraisers. Our tools empower you to help others. This is our mission. This is Donorbox, helping you help others.